Good evening to all dignitaries, and I am very happy for giving me this golden opportunity in this platform. Thank you, ma'am, especially for Hemlata Talesra, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you all organizing team. So I am going to mute my video, okay, ma'am, due to some for the clarity, okay. So you please, Dr. Seema, you please share the screen.
Yeah,
So
ma'am.
the
Please share the
topic
PPTs.
is, my topic is empowering the future, gender equality through transformational leadership. I think that this is actually a very crucial topic and very relevant one today. And before focusing on the transformational leadership, I think that we have to go through, since the talk series itself is focusing on sustainable development goals, I think that it is significant to start with SDG 5, a foundation for sustainable development, and SDG 5, that is Sustainable Development Goal 5, is one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals adopted by UN member states in 15, and this focuses on achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls by 2030. That is the significance of SDG 5, because its focus is on achieving gender equality and empowering all women, because the all has much stress in that document, all women and girls by 2030. And again, we should be we should be careful that the goal, this started in 2015, the mission, but now it is 2025. So how many more years are there to attain the goal? So that is a very important aspect. Seema, please, slide. You please move the slide.
No, you
Next.
just say next and we do it. Yeah.
Yes. Next. So that means this goal, it is not just about fairness for women, since this is gender equality and the giving equality to all women, even though it is focusing on that, but the goal is not just about fairness for women, but about building a sustainable, prosperous, and peaceful world for everyone. So that is the major focus of this goal. Next, please. And this goal addresses critical areas like ending discrimination, because in many of the talk series we have come across with the terminology ending discrimination. We know that there is discrimination, even though so many women liberation movements are there. I am not focusing on that, because what the women liberation movements are doing, that I am not at all discussing here. But anyhow, many of the organizations, as well as due to the Sustainable Development Goal implementation, many programs are organized by the government as well as NGOs for ending discrimination. That means we all know that there is discrimination in between men and women, and we all know that that discrimination is still existing, but to what extent, that we have to think. But again, we have to end this discrimination by 2030. How this is possible? Here comes the possibility or the significance of transformational leadership. Again, the eliminating violence. Eliminating violence. Violence means here we are dealing with the violence related to women. always the violence related to women means not only men are responsible for all the violence, but sometimes women themselves are also responsible for the emerging out of the violence which will affect women. So while eliminating violence, how we have to emerge out strategies, that also we have to think about. Then valuing unpaid care work. We all are always arguing, or we are raising our demands on, we are doing many unpaid work, and that unpaid work, as you know, this can be considered as the routine domestic work or domestic labor. Then all of them will say that, oh, routine domestic labor, this is the duty of the women, so that it is not the work or to be paid for women. But these are the visible repetitive tasks required to keep a household functioning. So many people are forgetting that. Routine domestic labor maintained by women, they are the important task required to keep a household functioning. Then food management, under that, we all know that there is food management, that is meal planning, shopping, preparing ingredients, that is even chopping, grinding, cooking, serving, and cleaning up afterwards. Okay, all these are being done by especially women. Then hygiene and sanitation, another routine domestic labor to be done by the women. Washing clothes, often by hands in developing regions. Ironing, sweeping, mopping, and cleaning bathrooms, and so many work, so many domestic hygiene and sanitation works. Then household management, even paying bills, budgeting, and minor home repairs. Even all these are done by women to a greater extent. So these are routine domestic labor, but these are unpaid work. No women is paid for this. Then another is direct caregiving. These are not only the works done by women, but we know that direct caregiving, actually women are the caregiving people. This is the care in care work, looking after the physical and emotional needs of others. Then child care is there. When while that means feeding, bathing, dressing, helping with homework, and transporting children to school, transporting children to different activities, tasks, to the playgrounds, and like that. Then elderly care is also their responsibility, women's responsibility. That is assisting aging parents with mobility, medication, and daily hygiene. Then think about the care for the sick and disabled, providing round-the-clock nursing care for family members with chronic illness or disabilities. You think about the duties served by the women. In addition to this, in many developing nations, that is even including rural India, this is happening. That is, this is the most physically demanding form of unpaid work. That means the works like water collection. Even in India, it is happening, especially in rural India. Water collection, walking long distances to fetch drinking water, cooking, water for washing. Then fuel collection is another one. Gathering firewood, make cow dung cakes, or collecting fodder for livestock. You think about that. We all are experiencing in one way or other. But we people in this platform are fortunate enough to refrain from all these activities, because we are educated, and we are even though we are also doing unpaid work, we have payment, we have remuneration, or we have salaries, or we are money independent people. Economically we are safe, or financially we are independent. But you think about the other women who are the majority. Then another is farming. Farming means assisting others, working on farmland to grow food for the household to eat. All these are happening even in India. India is only a developing country. In some aspects it is developed, but these are still happening. Unpaid work. Then mental load of the women. Actually, it is an invisible labor for them. This is the managerial work that often goes unnoticed, but causes significant stress and burnout among women. We are actually ignoring all these aspects, especially the mental load of the women. That means they have to plan and schedule many things, remembering the vaccination dates of their children, school events, birthdays, family and social obligations, because they are actually many family members may be there. Then they have to remember all those days, important days are to be remembered. It is their duty. You think about that. Then emotional labor, regulating the emotions of the household. That means soothing children, mediating family conflicts, mediating the conflicts between siblings, between the in-laws, between the members associated with the family, then extended family members, relatives, and also providing emotional support to a partner, that is her husband. Then cognitive labor is another important one, constantly anticipating needs. That is, we are running out of so many things. So you think whether our children nowadays they need new shoes very soon because many demands are being raised by the schools. Then all these demands are to be satisfied immediately. That is actually the practice of today's world. So the demand of the today's world. So all these are being done by the, or it is think that it is the responsibility of the women. So all these are unpaid work. Then more other unpaid works include women often perform unpaid labor that holds the community together. That is volunteering, cooking for community festivals, cleaning religious spaces, helping neighbors. We all are experiencing all these things. So I care for extended family. That is also very important. And again, we know that each woman is playing very, very different and variety of roles. That is from the daughter, mother, husband, wife, then a daughter-in-law or aunt, many sister, many roles she is playing. Then this hosting and serving guests during weddings, funerals or festivals. Whose responsibility is this? Then again, visualizing the burden, to visualize how these different types of work stack up against paid labor. Look at this, if we are actually assigning all these labor for paid work, you think about that. All these are done by women without any payment, unpaid work, with all her commitment, with all her right attitude, she is undertaking these tasks. But definitely she is also sometimes an employer or an employee. Then what will she do? She has to do all this work in addition to her official work. So there needs the assistance of the partner. But one thing I have noticed that in today's world, I think especially in the IT field, I have seen boys helping their better halves to a greater extent in many of the tasks. That is good. But again, to what extent, that we have to think. Anyhow, they are doing much more when compared to their partner unpaid work. And all this work, what is the problem for this doing this work? How it is becoming a problem? Because actually these are not issues for some many of the women. If they are recognized, but they are not. It is unrecognized work. It is undervalued work. It is uneven work because women spend hours doing this for free. They have less time to earn money, learn new skills, or rest. We all are aware of that. Again, they are not able to learn not only new skills, they are not able to do many other professional jobs. That is why we lack many eminent scholars, eminent scientists, eminent other professionals in different fields, women professionals in different fields when compared to men. So that is this is actually we have to think about valuing unpaid care work and ensuring participation in leadership. Here, whether leadership means all leadership are not, deliberate leadership. Voluntary leadership is being made by women. Whenever there is some task in the house, they will voluntarily lead the task and they will try their level best to complete the task. That is the leadership of the women. But what about men? They are also doing to a greater extent, but how they are doing, that we have to think about. The next slide, please. The universal access to sexual and reproductive health, equal rights to economic resources, technology, and land. All these are to be the critical areas to be addressed while we are focusing gender equality. Here comes the story of education. This also I think that I have to bring all these to your notice while we are discussing this topic, because from the studies it is found that globally 129 million girls are out of school. 129 million girls. What does that really mean? We are not considering this, even though we are always discussing and we are always emerging solutions for maintaining gender equality, then we are forgetting about all these aspects, or we are leaving behind these aspects. But this is the time to think more seriously. Here comes the global landscape of gender equality. That is economic disparity, unpaid care work, violence and harmful practices. Violence, there are domestic violence and workplace violence, many violences you are familiar with. I am not going much detail into that because all the domestic violence are related to the violence against women. That means maintaining, that is the resistance to maintain peace in the family. Then unpaid care work, women of 2.5 times more unpaid care and domestic work than men. Now today this slide I have prepared 1 month back, but recently I have seen that women do 3 times more unpaid care and domestic work. This is UN data. So for education, for paid work, for political participation, these are limited due to their unpaid work. Then 1 in 3 women globally has experienced physical or sexual violence. That is also a fact. Then what about the goals of action? End all forms of discrimination and violence against women and girls. Eliminate harmful practices like child marriage and recognize and value unpaid care work. That is to be recognized. Ensure full and effective participation and equal opportunities for leadership in political, economic, and public life for women. and ensure equal rights to economic resources and access to technology. Again, another study revealed that only less than 50% of women are using the mobile phone data for their lively or for their work balance, but more than 75% men are using gadgets. So that is also a difference. But in Kerala, it is not a crucial issue, but it is an issue of our rural India, also rural Kerala. So there have been positive legal reforms with 99 countries implementing new laws to advance gender equality since 2015. But there are challenges. The pace of progress is far too slow. At current rates, it will take over 100 years to close legal protection gaps. Nearly 300 years to end child marriage. You know, we are actually not experiencing all these things. So that we are thinking that all of these might have curved to a greater extent. But all these are the results or the findings of the recent studies. That means it will take over 100 years to close legal protection gaps. There are gaps between gender discrimination or in attaining gender equality. Then nearly 300 years to end child marriage. Again, we know that COVID-19 pandemic has brought about many changes. In the field of technology, it has brought about tremendous changes. But again, in the case of gender equality, also it has brought about some changes. Then all these are the challenges, and we have seen many problems and issues are faced by women. Here comes the role of the transformational leadership. This transformational leadership will act as a catalyst for gender equality. That is a truth. Then we have come across with different types of, you please the slide, you change the slide to transformational leadership. Next, please. Next. Transformational leadership. Next slide is, yes. No, next. Yes. This is transformational leadership as a catalyst for gender equality. We know that catalyst. What is the role of the catalyst? Catalyst, we are always thinking about the positive catalyst. Even though negative catalysts are there, they are doing something. They are also undergoing chemical reaction for favoring the product. So we cannot consider them as a negative one. But here we are dealing with positive catalyst. What is the role of the catalyst? It will actually speed up the rate of the reaction. Similarly, the transformational leadership also increases or enhances the rate of the reaction of maintaining gender or attaining gender equality. So there comes the significance of transformational leadership. Then comes what is next slide. You go through this next, please next. Yes, you go through this picture. This transformational leadership, it explains actually the leadership which are responsible for tremendous changes. All those changes, the changes means conducive changes, socially acceptable changes. Socially acceptable means society, we know that society is always changing and society is again subjective. So the changes which are conducive to a society, that changes are to be brought about by transformational or through transformational leadership. Then this transformational leadership, we often talk about the glass ceiling in gender equality. Gender equality, there is a glass ceiling, means the discrimination between men and women. That glass ceiling, it is not easy to break that glass ceiling. It implies that the barrier is just one transparent layer at the top. But for many, inequality isn't a ceiling. It is the architecture of the building itself. To change architecture, you don't need a manager, you need a transformer. That we know that. For changing the architecture, if you are in a building, changing the ceiling or renovation, it is easy. For that, there is no need of an architecture. But if you want to change the architecture of the building, you need actually an architecture, and you don't need a manager. There, the architecture's role is as a transformer. So that means transformational leadership is not considered as managing tasks, but it is changing the state of matter. It is about moving a system from transaction to transformation. Transaction is easy. We have heard about transactional leadership also. Transactional and transformational leadership. This transformational leadership is about moving a system from transaction to transformation. So that is very important. Then again, you look at the picture. The picture, it shows the elasticity or stretching of a rubber band. Many organizations treat gender equality like a rubber band. What is the characteristics of a rubber band? While we are pulling or while we are stretching, it will stretch. But after that, if you are releasing, it will again regain its original position. So many organizations pull hard with initiatives, hiring quotas, and they will be organizing seminars. That means they stretch the culture to a new shape. But what happens when the leader walks away? That means we are stretching the rubber band while one is there to stretch the rubber band or pull the rubber band will get stretched. That is the transactional leader. That leader will stretch the rubber band. But whenever the leader walks away, what happens to the situation? The situation like the rubber band. We know that the rubber band snaps back to its original shape, isn't it? So that is the role of the transactional leader. But the maintenance is a challenge. There lies the significance of transformational leadership. It is just not about stretching the rubber band. It's about changing the composition of the rubber so it doesn't want to snap back. That is transformational leadership. Whenever we want a change, if the change is, you want a permanent change, then if the change is found to be temporary, what is the use of the energy, the money, the time you spend for the purpose, like stretching of the rubber band? But if you are spending it constructively, productively, then you think about that. Transformational leadership isn't just about stretching the rubber band. It's about changing the composition of the rubber so it doesn't want to snap back. That is the role of the transformational leader, which is very significant. That type of leadership is very significant for bringing about gender equality. We are speaking and discussing and conducting and organizing seminars, workshops. Then we are actually including gender related topics in our own teacher education curriculum from since many years back. But one thing is true. Some changes have taken place. Some changes, definitely changes have taken place. But to bring about equality for all women and women and girl, is it possible through these type of transactional leadership? Nothing is possible. It will possible only through transformational leadership. Please, next slide. The transformational leadership maintains the system using 4 I's. Means idealized influence. That means should act as a role model. That means the leader should act as the role model, whether that leader is a man or a woman should act as a role model. Idealized influence is there. Because suppose a person is there, he is stretching the rubber band, and after some time that person will leave, then you think about the change. It is of no use. But it should be transformational leader. Then inspirational motivation. That means the vision. The leader should have clear vision. For any type of leadership, we know that the vision and mission, that should be clear. But here it is more clear. That means they should have to change the composition of the rubber or rubber band. Not the rubber band. Not the composition of the rubber band. The matter it is made up of, the rubber. That is the role modeling and the vision. Then intellectual stimulation, because many challenging situations will be there. They have to encounter those challenges intellectually, constructively, and productively. And also humane touch is very important. Individualized consideration. That is empathy, mentorship, all these are humane. Because we know that we are always dealing with equality. There is equity and equality. While we are talking about equality, the strategies or the steps to be adopted for all people or all women are not the same. We have to provide appropriate measures or tasks for bringing about equality among women or girls. For that, we have to work together. So that is the thing. The next slide, please. Then here I shall give the example of a factory. If there is a shortage of workers, then what the transactional leadership will focus. If workers are there, if we are again maintaining gender equality, then what we will do? We will fix more women. That is maybe training them to be more assertive, more like men, and we will fix. That is the task done by transactional leadership. But in the case of a transformational leadership, that focuses on fixing the system, valuing collaboration and empathy, traits women often excel at many of the leadership strengths that you might have come across. Even men and women, we all have come across with many situations where the women excel men in leadership strength. So such type of leadership strengths are to be identified and are to be strengthened by transformational leader, not fixing women after giving them some rigorous training. That is only transactional leadership. So we often talk about the glass ceiling in a gender equality. That is actually talked while we are discussing gender equality. That is a common phrase used. It implies that the barrier is just one transparent layer at the top. But for many, inequality isn't the ceiling. It is the architecture of the building itself, isn't it? To change architecture, you don't need a manager, you need a transformer. I have already mentioned that. So that is very important. Then you think about the transformational leadership programs to be organized by the institutions for enabling our children to be more transformative, to become more transformative leaders. We are organizing many activities. Even by the government itself, they are organizing many activities. NGOs are organizing many activities. But to what extent? Even whether we are able to transform all these things by 2030, which is the goal of sustainable development goal, especially goal 5. The next slide, please. Then we coming back to the again SDG 5. A web of goals are there for SDG 5. But we know that there are 17 SDG goals, and these SDG many goals are attached or linked to SDG 5. Why? That is because of its significance, the importance of the women. You think about SDG 1, Sustainable Development Goal 1, poverty and hunger. When women have equal economic opportunities and land rights, they are better able to lift their families out of poverty and ensure food security that we are actually now we are experiencing through self-help groups, the contribution of women, Stri Shakti. Then when we empower women, we improve actually health outcomes. That also we are experiencing. That is SDG 3, Sustainable Development Goal 3. Then Sustainable Development Goal 4, educated women and girls are more likely to have smaller, healthier families and earn higher incomes. There is no need of imparting population education, no need of imparting sexual and reproductive health education, because the women will internalize this and also children will internalize this, and this will be propagated throughout the community so that all this can be attained within the limited time. They build stronger economics. That is SDG 8, the role of the women. The women are acting as entrepreneurs. We have actually experienced this. They are, we know that the women, what they are doing. These women, they are making many things. They are cooking many things. They are also preparing many things. But how many are there acting as entrepreneurs? But nowadays we know that they are moving towards that. So we can hope the best. Then build stronger economics by them. They are also integrated farming is taken over by self-help groups. The productivity has enhanced. We have seen many films based on that. So all these are inspiration to men also. Then climate action. That is SDG 3. Women are disproportionately affected by climate change. We know that. We have already mentioned that the unpaid work. They are bringing water from distant places. They are bringing firewood from distant places. You think about that. So That is again very important to think. That means the climate action also, women are disproportionately affected. Then migration, another thing. Then peace justice, that is very important. SDG 16, next slide. SDG 16, the inclusion of women in peace processes which lead to more durable and lasting peace agreements. So there is driving changes, like strategies for accelerating progress. We know that in the home itself, conflict resolution is done by women. They are mediocres. Their negotiating skills are highly appreciable because they are empathetic. They are humane. They have emotions. They have emotional stability. They are very affectionate, loving women. Men are also like that. Since we are dealing with gender equality, I am saying so. How many are there in the parliament or politics? How many women are there in as scientists? How many Nobel laureates are there among women? Why do these are happening? Not only because of their own intellectual inferiority, but due to so many constraints that we have to think. So the driving change, that means strategies for accelerating progress. There are many strategies, next slide, suggested by authority as well as the visionaries. Next slide, please. Legal and policy reforms are there. Advocate for legislation that guarantees equal pay. Nowadays it is there. But even among laborers, we have to think about whether they are equally paid, men and women. They are saying that men are doing much work, but many women are also doing the same amount of work. The load is the same. In other places, they have equal pay, protects their many acts are there to protect against violence. But to what extent, that we have to think about. Many atrocities are there, sexual violence is there, abuse is due to drug abuse, many things are happening. So whether they are protected against violence, that we have to think about. In what way, to what extent. Again, ensures property rights for women. Even now in India, in rural, not only in rural India, in many places, there is no property right for women. Why is it so? What is happening? All these are some cultural aspects. Then what can we do for that? We can support women's education. Education is one of the most important tools. Then challenge gender stereotypes in our daily lives, that we know that we have to remove the gender stereotype. Whether you think that by putting she instead of he in the textbook, or giving more pictures of women as doctors and men as nurses, women as soldiers, will remove this gender inequality that we have to think about. So our shared responsibility as individual challenges biases, support women-owned business, and educate yourself and others. Globally, support organizations working to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 5. The future we want is a world for equality. That is about a better, more equitable world for everyone. Next, the last but one slide, please. Next slide. Next. Then investment and innovation is also very important. We have to invest upon women also. Then challenges ingrained stereotypes for an early age, but not it is now. It is not. We are the girls are using baby dolls and something like that. Then in workplace, the duties to be assigned to girls and boys. Even in the classrooms, the tasks given or assigned by teachers to boys and girls. All these have changed to a certain extent, but not to a greater extent at all. Again, leadership roles in NCC, NSS, even in army, but there are many limitations. But all limitations, how we are able to overcome, that we have to think. Definitely, let us work together to make a difference. The last slide, because that difference is for removing gender discrimination. We all know that, and I am also of the opinion that there is gender difference. That difference is there, that we all have to accept. All of us are accepting also, but we have to eliminate gender discrimination. How this is possible? For that, we all have to, because this is a platform comprising of scholars in this field itself, so that we all have to think and put our heads together to emerge out strategies to attain the equality for all women and girls by 2030. And I extend my sincere gratitude for the, especially Hemlata ma'am and all the organizers for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.